As we move on to our Jericho Cup content series, and last week we learnt a little bit about the Jericho Cup, guys, a fantastic initiative. And this week, thanks to the Warrnambool Racing Club, we delve a little bit deeper and find out about another stirring story involving one of the light horsemen.
Harold Thomas Bell was just 16 years old when he was killed in the Battle of Beersheba in October 1917. From the tiny town of Walpayup in northwestern Victoria, Trooper Bell enlisted under a false name and was a member of the 4th Australian Light Horse Regiment. On his deathbed, he had one final request. Bill, what was his request?
Well, his request was he wouldn't be buried under the wrong name. He'd enlisted under his mother's maiden name. He put his father down as his next of kin, as his uncle, and rode off to war as a 16-year-old and died about 3 months later at Beersheba. So his dying wish was to bury him under the right name, and they did. He's buried in the cemetery at Beersheba.
Tell us about Beersheba itself and the importance of capturing Beersheba.
They tried to get through to Gaza on a couple of occasions, and the third go was through Beersheba. They tried everything. They had artillery, they had ground forces. They were getting nowhere, and I think basically they were out of water. And the guy that ordered it, Henry Cheval, he wouldn't go into battle, just treat them as cannon fodder. Yet he said, he's lined up 400 Victorian light horsemen, 400 New South Wales light horsemen, and said, charge. They're off. They stayed 6K of open ground into machine guns. He probably thought they might as well die on the battlefield as die first in the desert. And they just overran them. That was the turning point in the whole thing, that they thought these people can do anything.
Explain to us what actually was the Australian Light Horse Regiment.
Boys from the bush. You know, they came down, they could ride, they could shoot. A few city slickers tried to get in, but they usually failed on the riding. But it was just people from the country, and yeah, off they went to war.
Great thrill, obviously, for the Warrnambool Racing Club, and the Harry Bell's the 3-year-old maiden on the day.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's kind of nice to be a 3-year-old maiden, considering he was so young, and you know, to go to war at that age is an incredible thing, isn't it? When you think about a 16-year-old kid getting his horse and jumping on a ship, going to the other side of the world and fighting a war, and so it's kind of poetic that we've got it as a 3-year-old maiden, I think. So it's good. I like that ring to it.
Matt, got to thank Hames Paints for their involvement in this, and suspect there's a bit of passion involved. Australian-owned company as well, so there's a great connection there as well with what's gone on. And the family involvement with you?
Dad was very crook, he was in hospital, so Nick popped in to see him, gave him the book, Bill the Bastard. And then Dad just assembled the family and he said, everyone, you've got 24 hours to read the book, then pass it to the next sibling, next sibling, next sibling. The next board meeting, we were basically sitting there making a decision to get involved because it's an Australian story that has to be told.
Tell us about the portrait, Bill.
A bloke called Bill Wood. He prepared all the paintings. He said, well, the original Henry Parkes painting was on slate, the same thing. He said, when I'm doing Harry Bell, before I paint it, I'll get the slate, I'll cut it on an angle and I'll move it an inch off centre, and then I'll paint over that.
And the significance of that?
And that's what I said. I said, what, do I get a discount because it's, it's damaged? No. So that signifies a life cut short.
Stirring stuff, an amazing content series, and Doc, I know you've learned something from the exercise as well, the fantastic initiative of the Jericho Cup. Now, I've been handed some official documentation that says if they do get in excess of 10 runners, there's going to be a consolation race run over 4,065 metres for $40,000. Liz, that's something to look forward to.
It definitely is, and I think the other interesting thing as well is the actual Jericho Cup itself is going to be run on the Grand Annual circuit there, so I think there's going to be a little bit of cross-country for some of these horses, but it's my understanding the consolation race is going to be on the course proper, the whole thing.
550 metres shorter. So it's a sprint, basically.
Liz, as they say, time flies when you're having fun. Good job once again. We look forward to seeing you again next week.
Looking forward to next week.